Episode 3 of That's Notable with Josh Linott. This is cool, man. I'm glad it is episode 3. I checked.
Yeah. Well, I think we're a little bit over the monthly cadence, and I was like, man, I'm missing out. I feel like it's been longer than a month. And
in my head, I had like the final Thursday of every month, which True. I think this might be, but there are no strict rules at That's Runnable. Especially at That's Notable. Thanks for coming back, and I guess like we were actually already chatting there about some things, and I was like, oh, we're doing that thing where I'm like, save it for the podcast. But you had a clip that triggered you.
I did. Now the clip's on my phone, so
now that doesn't work.
I could probably go and get it, because I don't know if this second camera angle is going to work.
Go and get it.
I'll get it.
Go and get it, and then just
that's the whole point of show and tell.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure we don't have any radio silence.
So we have the first segment. Last time we did a show and tell. We decided we needed a little bit more structure, so we decided to do what we're calling a show and tell segment, which is basically where we bring something. There's no theme, or it can be digital, it can be physical.
I'm going to be showing.
And Josh has a clip. Can you set the scene, Josh?
Yes.
Where were you when you saw this video?
I think I was back in Melbourne, just probably doom scrolling on my bed, where I do most of my random scrolling, whether it's at lunchtime or end of the day.
On bed, that's hyper comfort position.
Yeah,
bed,
it's probably
scrolling.
like
just doom scrolling on bed.
I got to take a like Courtney DeWalder approach of when she sleeps in an Ultra and goes and sleeps in like the most uncomfortable thing possible. I should just be like, if I'm going to doom scroll, go and like stand on a bed of nails. Yeah.
Why? So she
because
wakes
then
up.
So she wakes up. I think I'm getting there.
I've sort of put you on the spot here, but we're all anticipating
I didn't think we were
extremely controversial.
I
thought we'd just go straight into show and tell, and then we would move on to the things. We got a few questions, topics.
Yes. Props to Cocodona 250 for really putting out a lot of content during the race. I guess when you have a 5-day race, you can do that.
It's amazing, isn't it, really, how much they put out.
Here we go.
Before we dive into this week's episode, I have some news, and that is that Soar Running is sponsoring this episode of the podcast. I'm really chuffed to be partnering with Soar. They make really high quality and what I like to call high feel running apparel. When I first got my hands on a top from Soar, I immediately fell in love with it. You know when you put on a running top and you just feel good in it? That's how I felt with this first experience of running in something from Soar. They really make pieces that are worth gifting to someone important to you. They're at a much higher price point than other brands out there, but you really get premium quality and feel from Soar. And anytime anyone asks me what sort of gear I would recommend, I give them the full spectrum of available products, and Soar sits in a category of its own. Everything I have from them is just so nice to wear. And so I'm really proud that they're sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Go and check them out at soarrunning.com. If you're looking for really high premium running products, maybe your partner's birthday's coming up, and all the running gear out there just feels like it's all the same. If you're looking to invest in really high-end running attire, this is the place I would recommend you go. Soar, S-O-A-R, running.com. Check them out. Okay, we got there.
Also,
So,
I just want to preface, I have nothing against the guy, but as a statement, it got me.
I think the ultra running thing and the 100-mile distance in our like society these days has become like the new marathon. You know, it's like sort of the new bucket list distance. It's like everyone needs to like run 100-milers, and at a certain point, like Cocodona sort of like weeds that out a little bit. You know what I mean? It sort of makes people confront why they're actually out there and like why they're doing these things, and some of those like superficial reasons sort of drop away pretty quick on like day 2.
So that is the statement that I felt really uncomfortable listening to. There's a lot of things in there that I agree with in terms of particularly that last point where it's like you really start to think about why you're doing these things. However, I don't think you need to go and run for 48 hours straight to find your why, first and foremost. And I think that can actually be found in a marathon. But what really kind of upset me, and the way I interpret it, was he's kind of saying historically the marathon used to be a bucket list distance. Then that became so popularized, the 100-mile became the new bucket list distance. That's become so popularized that now it's just like, if you actually really want to go and like do a bucket list or an event that is a statement or a huge life achievement, you got to go and do something like Cocodona, which is 250 miles, 400 plus kilometers. I'm like, that's cooked. Like 42 kilometers is still so far. And I'm just like, I've been running for 12 years, only just did my first road marathon. I've run longer than a marathon, and it was still a bucket list thing to do. And it was still hard, and I still question why I was doing it in 42 Ks. And I was like, I just felt like that was so like, you're so deep in the running bubble when you like are saying that a 400 kilometer run weeds people out.
Okay, I think this is where I can start voicing my opinions, because I feel so strongly about so much of this.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you've highlighted this video and that you admitted that it triggered you in some way. It just didn't land well with you, because
Dude, you
I
can
saw
hear it in my voice.
I saw it, and it's something I sort of scoffed at it. I was like, ugh, whatever, because at face value you sort of think, yeah, it's a fair point. And in some ways I sort of understand, if we're going to start with what we agree on or what we can kind of understand from his sentiment. I understand that, it seems in his echo chamber that the next big thing is really the thing that differentiates you, and to really sort of get to that level maybe that we used to see the 100 miler with, you have to now go to 250, 300 miles. I understand what he's trying to say there, but the reality is,
agree, yeah.
The reality is, what it reeks of is what I see so much of in the ultra running space. Ultra runners hanging out with just ultra runners and forgetting that what you're doing is ridiculous. And I've heard 100 miler runners talk about the miler as if it's not that hard because they've done so many, and they talk about it as if it's not this insane feat of endurance. And that happens when you're in this echo chamber where you're just sort of locked into, you're so used to it. I've seen it on a serious level where it's like spoken about as if you're sort of weeding out to sort of differentiate yourself. You have to go further and further and further. I've seen it on that level, but I've seen it just sort of jokingly amongst ultra runners. And I've said to my friends, like, guys, it is important to remember what we're doing is insane. Like, this is stupid.
Absolutely.
Really, ultimately. And to a lot of ultra runners, that we all laugh and say, yeah, we are in this echo chamber that we forget that for a lot of runners, if we're just going for distance, which is my second point, that is not running, just going for distance. But for those who are just trying to run further, of course you have to hit the marathon mark first, then the 50k, then the 100k, then the 100 mile. It just gets longer and longer. And of course your benchmark moves, your milestones are reached through just getting further and further. But that's not what everyone's doing running for. Some people are trying to run the marathon at the fastest time they possibly can. And so I think the thing that really triggered me there was he used the word society as if like the whole of society sees ultra running as like the next thing rather than just a marathon. I don't think that's true. I think
agree.
you're in an echo chamber.
And even people that are in ultra running still are like, don't even know that 250 miles is a distance. Like,
yeah,
society doesn't even know that's a thing. Like, it's such a small part of the ultra running world in terms of the amount of events that happen. Majority are not that far.
They get a lot of coverage because they are so insane, and they get a lot of traction, and why wouldn't you watch this well documented 250 mile race? Why wouldn't you be fascinated by that? But the cool thing about it is
that's a different
it does
discussion
captivate.
though. I think like it is
Sure,
captivating.
but actually at those races, like they're really small things, and I think that's why people like this will say the 250 mile is really like the new 100 mile, because it's feeling like 100 milers 30 years ago or whatever, because all of these 100Ks, especially in Europe, but 100 milers in the States, they're getting more and more popular, and so they don't
so
feel
quick
like
as well. Like the way people are running them now is insane. Like the pace is, I guess, what people maybe used to run 100 miles at. It's like now it's just phenomenal what people are doing it in. Like it's so competitive. And I guess another kind of interpretation for me is like when you hear about ultra running in its infancy and how it was this like dirt bag sport, I guess the essence of perhaps a 250 miler still has that dirt bag energy because it is such a small cohort of people doing it, and then you're weeding out the ultra runners of like the modern society. But I think to discredit the marathon, the 100 mile as bucket list races, I was like, nah, don't do that.
It's an interesting discussion. I actually wrote like a Substack on pretty much this, but it was more a kind of sort of a love letter to the 100 miler that I haven't done yet. And I've been on this pursuit to get to 100 miles, and I DNS'd UTMB. I managed to get enough stones to throw in 8 stones to UTMB, and I got in 1 year, and that would have been my first 100 miler. And then
that's when I first came across you on your journey.
Really?
To that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen for me, and so I've been on this road to 100, and it's been something that I personally have really romanticized. The 100 miler is this thing that for me is a massive milestone if I were to achieve it, and that's what I'm doing. Like I got into ultra running with curiosity to get to 100 miles. I haven't got the same curiosity about 250, but it might be, it maybe is in my head because it's the next, it's the next further kind of adventure. But again, like, not everyone's going for just distance. I might get to 100 miles and then just play around with a lot of 100Ks again, or like do a 100 mile every year. But like a week-long adventure is just a different sport again. Like it's like a different, it's a different kind of thing.
It is, yeah.
And I'm personally in pursuit of 100, and I am passionate about that. And I don't care if it takes 10 years if I'm doing it the right way. Like that's the mission I'm on.
You could do
it's
it
fun.
in 10 years and be in a great position too. Whereas I think like when you go down shorter towards the marathon to the half is like you may be closer to your peak now. Not necessarily, but it's just like it's more geared for speed, whereas the ultra is like, or the 100 mile is, you won't be capped out by leg speed.
Yeah. I would also say that people are better now, generally, at running marathons, at running 100 milers. And there are more people doing it now than ever before. And it's also something that people are better at. World records are being broken in the marathon distance and in the 100 miler on certain courses. You've got FKTs getting broken all the time. People are getting better at running, and so you see more of the things that used to be more rare. You see more 2:30 marathons now. You see more completion of marathons now. You sort of think that it's not such a big thing, but it's just loads more people are doing it. We're all, loads of people are getting better at it, and I don't think that you should necessarily just equate difficulty to distance or benchmarks only based on distance. Anyway, that's got me fired up, bro. Whoa,
I've had that say. I had that saved for show and tell for 3 weeks. I didn't even
realize I was in a passionate mood. Well, like, do you want to know my show and tell?
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to bring out, even with a
I've got
prelude.
two things. One's not running related, and one I guess is. The one that's not running related is I'm really into my vinyl and my like records and stuff, and I thought I'd show you a new record I got.
What'd you get?
Is that fun?
It is fun.
It's from a band called The Sacred Souls,
I'll
and
write that down.
they have a real old time feel.
How long have you had a vinyl player?
About 6 years or something.
Wow. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
looking in the window of a store
5
this
years.
week.
Yeah.
Like, is it something I want to invest in? Ultimately, yes, because I really like the idea of just saying to like friends and family for the rest of my life, just get me a record as a gift.
Dude, it's the best. It's the best. Like all my friends who have turntables, I will just get them vinyls. It's the best, dude. It's all we get each other. Anyway, I love the experience of like actually, owning something physical, and I love. Now we're just talking about vinyls, but this this band is sick. They're from SoCal and they're called The Sacred Souls. I think I've thrown 1 or 2 track of the weeks from my newsletter from this album. Great one. And I'm excited that I have it on vinyl. But I love vinyl because it's a whole experience, and it's very intentional. Someone standing up and flipping a record, that's very intentional. They're putting on music for the room in a way that's not like just choosing a playlist.
Anything analog, I think that's where the magic is. And
now,
did you have a second show and
yes, this is this is what is that? This is something that if people come over, we have to put it in the drawer next to the bed instead of just like on show, because it's a muscle gun,
but it's a baby muscle gun.
It's a baby one, and it's a funny story because here in Europe we have Decathlon. I don't know if you have Decathlon. Yeah, it's huge. And,
we don't, but I like going there when I'm in Europe.
If you go there, you will not walk out empty-handed. And it's just the rules, basically. You go into Decathlon, you end up buying something. And I got a muscle gun when I was out in Madeira. And I thought it was an interesting one because it's something that I've ultimately changed my mind on. It's something I've changed my mind on, and that's an interesting thing to kind of highlight. I used to think, like, sack these off, don't use them. You don't want to punch your fascia like 1,000 times a minute. Like just massage with your hands and with like something else that's more manual.
Mm-hmm.
This is dangerous. People overdo it. Now, I think my perspective has shifted from being a little bit against muscle guns to now being like, actually, I think they're less dangerous than I was letting on. I think you can definitely do some damage if you're not careful with these things. But if you use them wisely, they're great. And
are you using it wisely?
And I've been occasionally using it on certain things, like my calf or something. Do it on a relaxed muscle. Make sure you're not pressing too hard, and keep it moving.
How is the power to size ratio of a baby muscle gun?
It has 3 different levels. Hear that? Whoa! And that is serious stuff. Battery doesn't last long. This is a Decathlon own brand one. But you know what? I think it's decent. So yeah, I changed my mind on muscle guns, and I think they're less dangerous than I used to think. Although I still stand by the fact that you should also just massage with your fingers if you have some
or
sort
a
of
hockey
issue.
ball or a trigger ball.
Yes, stuff that's very controllable. This is less controllable because idiot you is in control, and I can definitely do some damage. If I could like get into my calf and it feels good in the moment, I'll be like, oh, and then cause damage.
Well, I'm very happy with this week's show and tell.
That was a good show and tell. I was triggered, and then
but in
I
2 ways,
about...
by a muscle gun and a topic.
Yeah. Oh man, on fire.
We have actually we built out a reasonable list of topics, and I say reasonable because I think they're all quite weighty. I think some of them might get me a bit emotional. because I would like to hear how Madeira was for you. And I'm just to provide context, probably
Yes.
more so to Tommy's audience. I attempted to run Madeira 115 in 2024. I ran the 85 in 2023. And yeah, it was just like a 2-year goal of mine to run that race. I raced a marathon a month out as my final hit out, like a mountain marathon in Oz, Buffalo Stampede. Had a great run, cramped across the finish line in my hammy, and then kind of nursed this like hamstring tendonitis all the way through to the race. Got a sinus infection in Madeira 10 days out, so then pretty much didn't run for 10 days to the race, which left me feeling fresh. And then got to the 115, hamstring blew up, legs locked up, and I DNF'd at the 33k mark, or the same age station as Tommy.
Oh my god, same, dude.
Same, dude.
No way.
So
26k in.
yeah, I think the course shifted, but it was the same point.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely shattered on the live stream, on the trackers.
Yeah,
saying that.
really.
So, yeah, how you feeling?
And you messaged me as I was DNFing in the aid station. I'm sulking on my own, and at this point, pretty much everyone's gone through now. Like, I've been there for about 3 hours or something, and
it was quite a cold night as well for you, right?
It was cold. Although
Yeah.
I was sat next to a heater, so
Yeah.
there was that. But it was cold up there, and I was obviously very sad about DNFing. And if you haven't listened to the full story, a few episodes back, that's me talking about my DNF. But you actually were genuinely someone who knew what I was going through, because you actually had literally been through it, in the sense that
like
you were.
I couldn't
you
believe
had,
just the like the exact like situation. I was like, dude, that was me 1 year ago. Like,
Yeah.
I was so crushed. I was like, I just needed one of the boys to get past that point.
Yeah, man, it sucks, doesn't it? It did suck, bro. Like, I've told this whole story, but like, just sitting there watching everyone go through, and when you're sat there as well, you're like, how bad is my ankle? But then you're like, actually, I can't, and now I very much am in a good place, because I know that it was a serious ankle sprain. So I'm sitting here like, definitely should have stopped. But in the moment, you're doubting. You're like, am I just being weak-minded? Like, is this actually? Am I actually really like damaged here? And then you got all these people come through, and then you're like, oh, it's too late now. I'm properly DNF. They've cut the label off my like bib and all that, which is brutal. So
This
just
is
things
so
just happen around
savage.
me. And then
Happened
you
so
get in a
quickly,
bus. Yeah, and then eventually
take that
someone, yeah, and then eventually someone's like, okay, we can go now, and you get in a bus and you get taken down, and then you know it's tragic. And I ended up just, it was. Do you want the truth? This is so funny. The truth is, I hadn't slept all night, like no sleep whatsoever, and
So
it was 9.
You didn't even try and sleep till like 9 or 10 p.m. or anything?
In the late afternoon, evening, I tried to
Yeah.
sleep the day before, but I had some like
Yeah.
hour-long kind of meditation sound going on, and I just, it just didn't work. I was struggling to sleep for ages, and then I gave up. So I hadn't, I did 26k in the night, in the dark, in the rain, in the horizontal rain. It was the only time it rained the whole time we were there in Madeira, and then I just like got a bus back, and the sun was rising as I got the bus back, and I got home, and I turned the bath on, and I had a beer, and it was like 9 a.m. 8 a.m. or something, and I was having a beer in the bath after DNFing a night run.
Dude, I also went home and had a bath.
Yeah, man. And you're sat there just like, oh, this sucks. I suck.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And then I was just sort of in and out of sleep. And I got over it within like maybe 8 hours or something. I was like fully over it. But I was really
obviously sad. And
Have you had any reflections in the time since? Like, is that something that you really want to go back and do? Are you like, have there been other lessons that have popped up that are now like more apparent?
you know, I do think to myself, I want to go back and seek revenge of that race and all that sort of stuff. And I'm still wearing the bracelet with the idea that I will keep this bracelet on until I go and complete it.
I don't
Have it
have
on
the
for 5
bracelet, but I
years.
still have a Madeira 115 tag on my vest.
Really? Yeah. Well, I think to myself, maybe I will go back for revenge, but then I've seen other friends of mine who run ultras who have DNF somewhere, and then they just haven't really gone back. But they could definitely do the race if they wanted to. And I think it could go either way. I probably am not seeking. I've been to Madeira twice now. I love it there. If I went back, I probably would be doing it for the race.
I'm gonna throw a curveball in that. Maybe one day you and I could put on a running retreat or event in Madeira, because I freaking love Madeira.
I do love Madeira. It is dope.
Don't know if that's up your alley, but it came to me just then.
Maybe, bro. Maybe.
Yeah.
I would probably go back and holiday there. It is very cool. And in the build up, do you know what was most annoying about DNFing in Madeira is you spend a week there and you just can't really trail run as much as you want, and you're saving it for the race. And then when the race comes, and you DNF it at night, it's just like you feel like you've just been in Madeira and not got enough of Madeira.
Mm-hmm.
So I did hike, and I did obviously do a bit of running, like low key, but I was saving it all for the ultra. And but I can't complain because, man, I did get trail running in. It's the most epic. Some of it is the most epic scenery on the side of a trail that you will ever see anywhere.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It's so good.
Unbelievable. So yeah, we share that experience, and bro, I'm glad. I'm actually glad that you were there to message me, having gone through it. I know that you didn't want to go through it originally, but maybe that was it was all for a reason. We both DNF'd.
All for a greater cause of this friendship.
Yeah. All right. I've got some other topics as well here. I have some. You have here actually that you something about returning to slow mileage through like a running streak. Or running every day.
I know we talked
this
about
is interesting.
running streaks, and I actually can't remember my stance, but since returning back from 2 months of traveling where my training was very broken, and so I ran a marathon in Maui, got the worst blisters of my life to the point I couldn't run for 8 days. Like I absolutely destroyed under one of my toes. This blister was horrendous. Then I returned to Oz, and it was good. I had my recovery in Hawaii, so I can't complain. Returned to Oz, and I was like, I'm sick of being unfit and disappointed with my fitness. I'm just going to run every single day, even if it's 1 or 2K, because I want to like strengthen the habit of getting out for a run and build a routine again. And I've run every day, which is maybe like 19 days since I returned to Oz.
Nice.
But I've actually started to feel better running again. And I'm just like, okay, maybe there is a small merit in the run streak. I still have like bigger and smaller days. Like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were minimal. But I was just like, just get out and do 20 minutes, if that's it. So that's been going well for me.
Do you know what I think that does? Do you know what I love about that is I think that a run streak can help you to get out the door for a reason that's not performance, a reason that's not actually trying to contribute to your performance all that much. Because ultimately, how much is 1 or 2K going to do? It's not going to do heaps. So really, like, many coaches will not program in something as short as 10 minutes, right? So what that's doing is you're just going out there for the habit, for the process, for all the other benefits. And I also think what that's doing is that you're approaching some of your runs without thinking about performance, without thinking about like how fast you're going or
Definitely. And I often call my friends when I'm on runs.
yeah.
And I've called the same friend a few times. He's like, how are you feeling? I was like, so I actually just feel so good today. And I've said, I don't remember saying that multiple times in a week, because usually in like a big training block, it's just like, I reckon 1 out of 14 days I'll feel good. And then the rest is just like heavy, fatigue, tired. Whereas at the moment, I'm just like, running feels good. Running feels good. This is great. I love it. So
I have a post ready that I wanted to share with you. So I was looking at my phone. I have a post ready that I think really links to this. It's like
I'm ready
for That's Runnable. It's from my newsletter. So my process sometimes is like to post text posts on my That's Runnable Instagram, but they're from my newsletter. But this is when running feels like a grind. So when running feels like a grind, I've learned that I need to reset. For me, that usually looks like running less and moving more. That's how I consider it. Running less and moving more. I drop my mileage, I hike, or just run without a plan. So I will, instead of seeing movement as something that needs measuring, I remind myself that movement is something I get to do.
Absolutely.
And every single time my love for running returns, not because I forced it, but because I gave it space to breathe. This idea of actually not thinking about, okay, I have this easy run that I must execute at this pace if I'm thinking about whether I'm performing, or I have this tempo run that I have to execute at this pace, and then I've got my long run on the weekend that I have to make sure I do properly. You're not doing your running every single time to get something from it or to contribute to your progress. Sometimes actually you're just getting it in because movement is a gift, because it's actually something that's going to improve the day you're in. That 2K run that you didn't program but you threw in there and you ran for 15 slow minutes, that's it. It's just 2K. Sweet, adding it in.
And I think that's probably where I've found, like, not this say tremendous runner's high or anything, but these small mental wins have just been like, getting outside. Like, I live next to a river and there's some small trails behind me. I'm just like, fresh air. Look at the autumnal leaves at the moment. I'm just like, this is all I need. 15-minute like switch up.
Yeah,
circuit
for sure,
breaker.
Man. And so when I talk negatively about run streaks, I talk negatively about them because I believe that some people make the streak more important than everything else. And I think that there are times where within a 24-hour period you might need to just rest that entire time before you go on a run. I think, obviously I'm against the kind of pressure that it can bring on some people, but I've seen massive benefits in people who have just focused on getting out the door every day.
Definitely.
So I'm not like against,
rather than identifying with a number and then kind of using that number as a trophy. It's just like, just get out the door.
100%. I mean, for me, to be honest, man, I pretty much am in like an effort to streak all the time. That sounded funny. I'm always trying to streak. I'm basically always I'm always thinking, what am I doing today? And if it's a rest day, it's very intentional. It's like once every 2 weeks or something, but there's always something I'm doing today, like whether it's gym or run.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sort of in a streak myself. Okay, bro, I had a good question that I think like links to this, and it's about the kind of the idea of movement and running and training and how we consider it all. When was the last time you moved your body without trying to change it? When was the last time you moved your body without trying to change it?
Yeah, this one I wanted to get a little bit of clarification on, in terms of when you say change, are you talking about like the physical shape? Are you talking change in terms of fitness? Because I know that's still like a cellular change, but like what are you mean by change as such?
Adaptations, training adaptations. I would say that I'm talking here about change of the body due to the training that you're doing, and that being the reason you do the training. So when I go for a run, I am doing it for multiple possible reasons. But the most common one that a lot of people are going for a run for is the physical change that they will get from going for a run or going to the gym. This is an obvious one. You'll get a physical change in the fact that you are either contributing to your training, you're being stronger, or you'll get an aesthetic, a visual change of your body. These are the reasons. But there are other reasons why you might go for a run or go to the gym.
My knee-jerk response was never, because I'm just like, I'm not wired that way. I always want to be fitter or better. But I was like, actually, no. Because I'll run with my girlfriend maybe twice a week. And those runs, I'm just like, it's whatever she feels like doing. I just am so happy that she runs. I'm happy that we get to go and share time on the trail together. We make a new little loop around where we live. And those runs, I'm just like, I never even think of them as like, this makes me fitter. I'm just like, I get to like spend time with her running, which is before we start, or as we started dating, I was like, I'm not going to push running on her. Like, this is my thing. If it ever comes up, great. But like, I don't need to make her a runner. And the fact that we get to run together, I'm like, this is amazing. So I would say those runs, it's like, I'm just like, this is just a gift.
Yeah. I would agree if I went on runs with other people. Like, or if I went on group runs and stuff. Like, that is when I'm like, I'm not thinking about this contributing to my training. Like, let's say you go on a group run. Quite commonly, they're going to be like 4 or 5K at a really easy conversational pace. I'm not saying that's not doing anything, but I'm not. I personally could add that on to my training, and I wouldn't consider it much of an add-on, really. It's 5 slow K is like, okay, that's chill. I'm not thinking about the training adaptations, the body adaptations that's going to contribute to.
I think there's one of my friends, just on a tangent to this, he asked me once, he's like, you do a lot of slow running, say like 6:30 to 7:30 pace, like minutes per kilometer. And he's like, do you think that messes up your gait at all? And I was like, I feel like I've been doing a lot of shuffling for a long time that I don't think it is a detriment. But he is one of these people that doesn't jog any slower than 4:30. And he just doesn't know how to move that slow.
Yeah, today literally I was really trying to go extremely slow, and there is a method to going slow but with good form. You can keep good cadence, good form. People call it a shuffle, but you can avoid shuffling when you're going really easy. I can go at 0 miles an hour. I can go at 0 speed, as in on the spot, jogging on the spot, and I can be in my easy running, heart rate
good
zone.
Form. Yeah.
And if I lean forward slightly, I'm just edging forward. I can go an inch every fucking minute, bro. That's how slow I can go, because I can jog on the spot. So if you can jog on the spot, and then that, and keep a low heart rate, then that means that you can jog with any sort of speed. Obviously, you can break into walks and stuff if you're trying to like really keep into heart rates, but there is a way to run easy and it won't mess up your gait. And actually, the thing that really helps with efficiency is the speed. With like movement efficiency is the speed, right? When you're at those top speeds. But today, man, I was going super easy and I loved it. I was just cruising.
Is that where this question came from?
Yes. Although I sort of well, no, it didn't actually. I was thinking about it today because it came from, I'm programming a lot of like gym stuff at the moment, and it got me thinking about how I consider my gym going. and the reasons I gym go. And one of those reasons is to look better. You know, I'm trying to adapt my body. I'm trying to change it. But I know of and talk of all of the benefits outside of looking better or getting stronger or getting faster or being able to endure for longer with your running. I talk about all of the psychological benefits, the sort of feeling you get when you're walking out of a gym, all of that stuff. And ultimately, although I talk about it a lot, how often do I truly go to the gym or go for a run solely for those reasons? I'm always going for training purposes. I'm always going for a run because it's going to help me towards my goals. Or I'm always going to the gym because it's going to help me towards my goals. Or I'm doing some sort of, thing because it's, it might make me a little bit, look a bit better, with my top off. I'm ultimately thinking about that. So I talk about all these byproducts being you feel better and all this sort of stuff. But how often do I truly do that? I go for reasons that are very human. I go for reasons that are getting better, performing better, all this sort of stuff. But what I guess I'm challenging us both on is like, why don't you just, it sounds to me like you do quite often go for runs for the sake of the run itself rather than training and body adaptation.
The challenge for me would be like, how do you do that solo? Because I do all of that style of running with a group or with people. It's like
but it's more about the intention behind it, I guess. It will, going to a gym and doing a session will adapt your body. I'm not saying that I'm not talking about only the sessions that are doing very little for changing your body. I'm talking about the reason you're going. Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
For example, I have in the past been highly stressed here in London and it's dark out and I've got back home after a day and I've already gone for a run in the morning and I've been so desperate for solitude and going for a run, and I can count maybe on one hand the number of times I've done this, but I have gone out for a run for the purpose of clearing my head. And I truly have not thought about how it impacts my training. I've just been like, I need to go run. And I've done that. It's been a while since I've thought to myself, I need to go run, and I've put some shoes on and I've gone for a run because my head needs clearing. But I think it's a beautiful thing to do that.
Yeah. Maybe that also speaks to like the way you've changed your life as well. You don't need running for such a like clearing protocol.
Maybe.
I'd say do it a lot on the opposite side of things. Like today, my motivation for going to this group run was purely so I could see a friend I haven't seen in a couple of weeks. Like I'll often go to runs just because I'm like, this is so I can catch up with people.
Yeah, that's sick. I would argue that actually no, I'm not going to argue that. I disagree with myself. No, I was going to say that maybe it's different in Melbourne than London, but actually there are loads of people who are going to run clubs and stuff in London. I just don't get involved.
They look huge.
Yeah, it's just me. It's just me that's not getting involved.
I have a long sleeve top from Soar, and I genuinely get excited every time the weather calls for it, and it's clean. Running in that top essentially makes me feel topless. The material is hard to compare to, and the fit is perfect. Something tells me the founder's still very much involved with the design and fit of Soar products, and you really feel it. If you want the same, if you want just one piece that you look forward to wearing, go to soarrunning.com, SOAR running.com, and you'll find it there. I'm really excited because the one thing that I am focusing on most right now is my group coaching. I'm building out programs at the moment for people of all levels who want to become more confident and more capable in the gym. Strength training is such an important aspect of your overall training, and there are spaces available on my new group coaching offering, which starts on the 2nd of June, which is only a few days out if you're listening to this on the day of release. If you're someone who just doesn't feel very confident in the gym environment, strength training just doesn't feel very familiar to you, maybe you're a runner who's got away with doing no strength training this whole time, and you want to become a stronger, more resilient, more durable runner, this program is built out to not only give you all of your running, but also give you all of your strength training. And there's tons of instructional videos in there, and deep dives and courses and resources and all sorts in the app. It will be an app experience, so it's very easy to access your plan. and to message me. It's 80 quid a month. The first cohort starts on Monday, the 2nd of June. If you're at all interested, if you want to work with me, if you want to level up your strength training and your running, go to the link in the description below. There are limited spaces for this cohort, so go sign up so you can, with me, reset, reframe, and reconnect.
Next question.
I had another question, but I was sort of pausing there to think.
Well, it's a good kind of, I think, transitionary one, like, or continuation. What is filling your mind right now when you take your headphones out on a solo run?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Right now,
up there?
Yeah, right now what's filling my mind is my coaching. I'm offering new group coaching, and I'm doing this platform change at the moment. So I'm moving from With Me, which was the old platform, to a platform called Co-Coach and this app called Online Coach. It's such a better platform, such a better experience, and it's going to allow me to offer people actual programmatic coaching. So like, actually sequentially offering all of the stuff I was previously offering plus a plan. So it's actually laying out a proper program for people so they'll follow along.
How does that go for you opposed to something like Training Peaks? Like, why would you choose that platform?
So this is an approach that's like group coaching, and
right.
it's basically going to allow me to drop in videos and guidance and strength work, and it's just laid out very easily, and it's slightly more generic. So if I were programming something very, very specific for an individual, I might use something like Training Peaks. But for this, when you're just following a general plan and it's like based on hours per week, it's the perfect tool, and it allows for basically an entire sort of hub and platform, and all of the resources that I had in the original coaching hub are all going to be in there. Anyway, this building this out and transitioning from one platform for another has been highly stressful, because there's a lot of people who have paid for things in the original hub, who are subscribing to the original hub, who need to sort of move over to and switch to retain access to all the stuff they had before. And I basically haven't communicated to them that I will be ensuring that the price is the same for them, even though like the offering is massively changing. And so I had a bit of a scare the last 24 hours. I was like, oh man, people are going to feel like hoodwinked into having to stay to this like more expensive thing. But I basically, it's not it's not that. Yeah. It's the fact that I really need to offer something that actually helps people. The original coaching hub was just this repository of information that people just hardly went in to look at, because it doesn't basically encourage you to really engage with this stuff, and it's not any coaching material properly. So I need to move, and I need to basically offer more in order for it to be valuable. And that switch period has been something that I'm thinking of when I don't have my headphones in and running. I'm thinking about how I can make sure everyone's happy in the switch, and I don't think I've done a good job of it, basically.
Yeah,
but
it's hard though.
But it's hard.
It's hard to do clunky stuff like that well.
Yeah, and when you're on your own, man, just trying to offer something out that is scalable for you, you can offer to a lot of people, but is ultimately like your main thing. It's hard. I'm now bringing more people on to help with stuff, and it's a game changer. So another thing I'm thinking about is just like delegating a lot of the stuff I've been doing. I've been doing everything. I've never got like any help or agency or management or anything, so I'm just doing everything myself. And it's like, okay, what got you here won't get you there. You need to like delegate, bring people on. So we're going through that process, and it's becoming a bit of a game changer. And even just having people involved with what we're doing here, just like having more people involved, it's just causing this sort of groundswell of people doing shit. So people are sending me stuff. I'm like, oh, thank you, you've done that. You made progress with a thing that I was never going to make progress with, because it's like 5th on the list. So it's been a real, I've just been working.
Dude, you're leveling up.
Yeah.
You're leveling up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's cool. There are positive things I'm thinking about as well. I'm always thinking about positive things when I'm on my run too. But those are the things I'm stressing about.
I was thinking. Do you know what I was thinking the other day? I was thinking the other day actually that I'm loving my stresses right now. I'm enjoying the challenge, like building out these programs and figuring out how to best present everything with videos and stuff.
Said.
It's fun work. Like I remember once or twice in my corporate career, I had like a project I was working on that actually I was sort of really into, and I was invested in it. I was like, this is a fun challenge. And now I feel like I've really got that in this work that I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, it can be stressful and stuff, but I'm actually enjoying this thing where I can own it and really like present,
make it something.
make it the best thing I possibly can. You know, that's the cool thing about it.
Dude, solid.
Yeah.
Good things.
How about you, man? What are you thinking about when you're not listening to music or whatever, and you've got your headphones out?
At the moment, it's actually been like a lot of back-end financial organization. I think I landed in Oz and was just like, well, how do I kind of like set up my years moving forward? And for a while, I haven't really had this like 5-year, like what are the next 5 years of my life look like? I kind of really just burned down that way of thinking for a long time, like a 5-10 year goal. But now I'm bringing it back and just being like, well, yeah, if I'm going to like build a future with my partner, like what do my contributions look like, particularly as a running influencer photographer, like make it up on the go. So I've really kind of been thinking about what my systems are. And that, like, I really liked what you just said then of I'm enjoying my stresses, because I've called up a lot of friends who are like very good with spreadsheets and are very kind of ordered in their thinking and being like, hey, can you train me up? And so I'm like putting in workshops at the moment. I'll be like, I really look forward to Mondays at the moment, because one of my friends is like taking me through his spreadsheets, and that's just not something I do. So I've been thinking about that, and it's kind of like forced me to like pull everything out of my head, put it onto a dashboard, put it onto a spreadsheet, and be like, what does my life look like from that lens? But then what that's also brought up is like, how do I manage, like, can I be a good athlete? Can I have like success in a career? Can I socialize? Can I be a good partner? It's brought up all of these questions. So that's kind of what I think about when I take my headphones out. And then I've also started thinking about racing again and picking a race, which was one of the things that I dropped in to my dot points for today, was choosing a race from a long way out.
Okay.
And
okay. Well, let's talk about that, because that's you as an athlete.
Yeah.
But I have a question about what you were just saying now. You said at one point like something about your worth, like what you can bring at one stage, and I thought that was really interesting, because I've spoken with people before about this topic of what you can bring to a relationship. And I do find it interesting that most people immediately go to financial. Like, how much are you bringing financially to a relationship, or to a which almost feels weird to say how much you bring financially to a relationship. But when you start building a life together, you're then like, right, we're building this thing. What are you contributing? I don't really know where I was going with this, but it was just a thought that I was like, there's so much you can bring that is not financial.
Value is so much more than just like money, right? And it's like, are you bringing adventure? Are you bringing emotional support? Are you bringing play? Are you bringing like new perspectives? Are you like bringing some kind of like emotional regulation? Like, are you an epic chef? Like, do you like, there's so many things I think you can bring. And that's like always been like, I think my strength. It's just like, yeah, I'm going to be like an epic human.
Nice.
And you'll just through like my world and the way I go about things, like you're going to come across things that you wouldn't have done otherwise. But yeah, the financial part's been an interesting one to like sit with.
Yeah, I feel like if let's get real deep now.
I was like, oh, you're about to crack me open, Tommy.
I feel like as a man, you often feel like you should bring the moolah, bring the cash money. And I think it is important to bring cash to a life situation. You're bringing a lot of value if you're bringing money, because that, there's nothing worse than having, there's no anxiety worse than money anxiety. And so, it'd be nice to fix your money problems. And I do feel like as a bloke, you feel this pressure to bring the money directly in to a relationship, whatever. But I often also think that is like a form of avoidance, when like a lot of people will bring money into a situation as a way to like avoid the other stuff they need to bring in to the situation, if that makes sense. And there truly is so much, like for me, I feel like you need to know the reasons. Let me start again. You need to know what you're bringing outside of money, otherwise you will only find the like negative personal attributes in yourself, and then you will just seek only the money, like in terms of what you're bringing. Like what I'm trying to say is that you do run the risk quite easily if you don't properly recognize what you're bringing, and your partner doesn't tell you what you bring outside of money. You'll start to see yourself as someone who doesn't bring much outside of just money. And I think what I'm trying to say is that you must focus on what you can bring, like emotionally or logistically or whatever in the sort of relationship. Anyway, I wanted to sort of challenge this financial obsession that may have been in your head.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Hearing all of that, just makes me so happy, the kind of people that I surround myself with, because my best friends also came back with that same challenge, and they're like, this is great that you're doing that, but also like remember who you are, the life you've built, the way you go, the way you see the world. Like they're like, that's the magic. They're like, you'll sort the like tedious financial admin stuff and approach out no issues in like 2 or 3 days of like sitting down and nutting it out. But yeah, it's been an interesting one. And then I think it's also, I'm just so good at doing and creating, and could keep perpetually creating and doing stuff, but then being like, all right, if I do want to like at the moment, I'm also in the very early stages of starting like a running garment apparel brand. So then I'm thinking about that, and then that has logistics to it. So there's like a lot of like systematic things at the moment. I'm just like, that are tied to money. I'm like, all right, can we just sit in this like grit for a bit and nut it out?
Yeah. Good, man. And your training, you are wanting to peak a little bit more, did you say?
Yeah, but very slowly. Like at the moment, I'm just like, there's enough other things I'm thinking about. I'm enjoying my body, feeling good. I don't need or have a desire to like be peaking right now. But I would like to start building towards a race end of the year. But I think like what I really felt whilst traveling was I was just like, just didn't feel like I had my edge as a human. It's like, when you're training for like a big race and you're just like, I am just like, I'm fit, I'm sharp, I'm strong. Like you almost like toe this line of invincibility. And I think, at the moment I'm just like, I'm actually like, don't feel that great at running. don't feel that strong. I'm just like, I was like, damn, what do I have right now?
Well, I felt
Because
this recently. I felt this desire,
Yeah.
like real deep desire to like see what I'm capable of a bit more. And I feel like it's been a while since I've really gone all the way. I did Mozart last year, and I was very proud of my effort. I feel like I dug deep, but it wasn't as, although it was very wet and horrible in that sense, it was a 15 and a half hour race or something for me. And I think, to be honest, that wasn't like, a max effort for me now.
Mhm.
And then I did Lone Wolf last year and did a good job of it, but it was a 24-hour race, but it was looped with a lot of rest. Although there was a decent amount of elevation accumulated, it was basically 144k and 5k of elevation in a 24-hour period. So that's spread out a little bit for me. What I want to do, if I'm doing ultra stuff, what I want to do is go beyond the 24-hour mark, actually going for it over the mountains. What I want to do is get a bit faster at maybe a shorter pace, at a shorter distance. I want to see what I'm capable of again, and it's been a while since I have really done that. And so I had this deep desire recently to really go for it, and I think I'm at a point now where I can actually.
I have also had this desire, but I haven't had the just feel like I haven't been able to flip the switch and just like turning it all back on to like really put my foot down into that kind of training, which is why I'm kind of doing this like run streak as such, to be like, all of a sudden I'll like accumulate 40-50 days of running and then be like, you actually have like a 7-week base now of running to then do something with. And that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. Yes. I today was running on very achy legs because I was doing some like split squatting in the gym and stuff, and just that feeling of real fatigue on my legs felt good. I was just like, this is kind of where I want to be at least once a week. Is really sort of, okay, this is true recovery run stuff. I feel it in my arse, I feel it in my legs, I feel it in my calves. Yeah, this is like, okay, my legs have been working this week. That's what I want to feel like at least once a week. I want to do a long run at least once a week, and I want to do some speed. I want to get back in, lock back in basically. And I just feel like this year I've been stopped from doing so.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you based off what I've consumed from your content. I'm like, you've actually had like a whole series of blocks. So.
Yeah, and it didn't occur to me that I really truly had until this last one. When I got ill it was only sort of last week, when I collapsed at home and I sort of blacked out. I hadn't really considered the fact that I've been having like just thing after thing. Or no, maybe I had. I think I had actually. The sprained ankle was the last like straw, and then like when this thing came around, I was like, another thing. But I really felt like this is the final thing, that now I'm in like home straight. I can look after myself and go through to Devil's Gulch. I do feel that. I think like, I don't know, I feel in touch with whatever like the situation is now, and I'm like,
touch
okay,
with the spirit.
Yeah, the universe is ready now. It's out of its system all of the bad luck. I don't know. I have had a bit of a series of unfortunate events this year, and genuinely, I don't think many of them were very controllable, which is kind of one nice thing. But I think I'm now ready to just like be on like week after week of just decent volume and some decent amount of speed work in there with some decent lifting. So I'm ready, man. I'm ready for the next phase of training. I'm doing all right this week as well already. I haven't even got my long run in, so
that's
looking strong.
Come on, you are looking strong. I look at your videos at the moment. It's like he is looking strong.
No, well, I was saying the future is looking strong, but yeah.
But both looking strong.
So what's your next race, bro?
I am thinking about doing Kosciuszko 100.
Where's that?
So that's in the New South Wales. So in Australia, in one of the alpine regions in New South Wales.
Nice.
Cosy is Australia's highest point of 2,200 meters.
Right. Nice.
A beaming high point. But it's funny because the last few years, I've really kind of had this like grudge against racing this. I'm just like, I'd rather go, like a couple years ago, I had an entry to Cape Town. I was like, I want to do Madeira. I want to do New Zealand. I was like, I just want to go somewhere that is really beautiful. And then at the moment, I'm just like, well, I kind of just want to like lock down in Oz, do my work. And then one of my friends went and raced Cosy and said it was quite beautiful. He was actually really surprised by like how lovely the trails were. And then I was speaking to my coach. I was like, if you like take out my opinion and my biases, like what do you think my best race would be distance wise? And he's like, I think you're like most suited to the 50. But I just have this like curiosity about doing 100k, and I just kind of want to be guided by that curiosity and drive of something that scares and challenges me, and almost like is a force function to go and do like hard training. It's like I know that I don't want to do 100k and like be disappointed by my approach, so it's like, well, go and do the due diligence. And I haven't, probably since I raced Madeira in 2024, actually picked a race from like a long way out, and I'm saying like 6 months is a long way out for me, because the last like year and a half of racing I've just picked stuff off like a 10-week window. So this one I'm like, nah, actually commit to this race at the end of the year and just like see what you can do with like 5 months of building, basically.
Yeah, man. 100. I think 100k is the optimum distance, the optimal distance. I think it's like it's the perfect kind of. It truly is very difficult if it's like a mountain 100k. It can be like truly difficult, but it's also it's something you can kind of if you do enough of them, you can kind of control the outcome a little bit more, I think, than like a 100 miler, for example, which is a little bit more of a...
I think it's like if you're looking at that, like, say like 8 to 10 hour range, and the winning times for this race were like in that 10 and a half hour window. It's like, it's a long day, but it's not a full day. And that's the full day of running, like the 24 hour stuff. I'm like, I'm not there yet. I don't want that, like, all through the night experience. But like, get up for sunrise, be back by sunset, have a long day, but like not a full day.
I think it gets real difficult when you go through a night and then into another night.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, whoa. But yeah, man, that's exciting. I personally think that you are someone who would prefer 100Ks, eventually would prefer 100Ks to 50Ks.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I think so.
I can see that for myself, but I know that I've like over the years come off like a good base of leg speed, and I do like that. I still like feeling like you're moving pretty well. So, yeah. I was wondering today, I was like, I wonder like what pace I could actually hold for 10 hours. So
well,
we'll see.
We'll see. With 5 months of training.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, this has been a pleasure. I could actually just sit and chat for ages.
I know.
We have sat and chatted for ages, so but I could continue forever. But thanks for coming on again, man. This has been good.
Dude, thank you.
Next time I'll bring a triggering reel, because there's plenty. Maybe I'll start a little folder to save.
That's what I've done. I've started a folder for show and tell.
No way. Oh, this is brilliant. Can you do shared folders on Instagram?
Yeah, you can. We'll set it up.
Oh,
Because I didn't want to like get to this and be like, just scramble. I actually wanted to like save stuff that actually got me. So
well, I thought we had good topics today, and it may have seemed like there wasn't really any structure, but I think that there was.
there was. Yeah.
So thanks for coming. Thanks if you're listening, for listening or watching, wherever you're listening or watching. I wanted to also say that if you are liking this podcast, if you have been listening for a while and you haven't rated it, throw it a rating. I know that there's...
Really important to do.
Yeah, I think it's like 9 of every 10 people have not rated the podcast. And I think that's a fun stat to throw in there. So if you are liking it and you're still here, if you've got this far, drop us a rating, comment, get involved. If we've annoyed you today at all, let us know. And if you've disagreed with any of our hot takes, let us
Please
know.
also let us know. I love feedback, so send us, either of us, a message.
Yeah, I love it when the comments come through. I actually see them very quickly, and sometimes I don't want to seem like I'm just always on my phone, so I'll just leave it and then reply a little bit later. But I love seeing that's my favourite notification, is the Spotify comment. Hey, yeah, here's one. Someone's getting
This one. Someone's made it all the way through.